porn addiction is not about sex at all. Because if it were, then real sex would actually fix it for a lot of guys. But a lot of guys had real sex, and they're still addicted to porn. Why? Because for them, it's not about that. It's about relief. If you don't know me, my name is Krishna, and I help young men quit their porn addictions. Whenever I was addicted to porn, I would come home from school. Usually, immediately speaking, I would hop on the game. I would hop on my Xbox and I would play with my friends for hours on end. And then, usually what would happen is my dad would come home. Maybe around 6, 7, 8 p.m. And that's when I would basically instantly stop what I was doing and I would go and hide in my room. Why would I do that? Well, because during that time period, there was a lot of abuse going on in the household. There was a lot of trauma. It was quite a stressful environment. Those were the times when I was most addicted to porn. Is when I was getting abused by my father, when I was in those stressful environments. Why is that? Because for me, it wasn't just about I feel horny, so I must watch it. For me, it was about a few things. It was about trying to get the love that I didn't get. That was one of them. It was about finally feeling I had a sense of control over my life that I didn't have. And it was about relief. It was relief from the stress. It was relief from the pain. It was relief from all this stuff. For me and for a lot of people, it's not about feeling horny. It's not about having sex. It's about regulation. When we feel stressed, for example, when we might feel depressed or anxious or bored even, we use porn as a way to relieve those feelings. For example, I remember getting into fights with my father and then watching porn right afterwards. That was a thing that happened. I know that might sound crazy, but that is an example of me feeling a very uncomfortable feeling and then using porn as a way to cope with that, to cope with my environment, to cope with my circumstances, to cope with the feelings that I didn't know what to do with. If we think about it that way, then we can reframe the urges that we get as not desires, as not pulls to watch porn, but rather they're pulls for regulation. It's a dysregulation symbol if we think about it that way. It's also about novelty and it's about control. Porn, you control what videos you watch. You control how long they are. You control a lot of things. You control what types of people you see when you watch them. And so there's endless novelty. There's no rejection. There's no real effort. But the thing is that, again, real relationships, they require vulnerability. Porn doesn't have any of that. It's cheap. It's cheap and it's fake. And a lot of guys, over time, what starts to happen is they start to judge women harshly because of the content that they watch. I remember me personally, when I was addicted to porn over 4 years ago now, every single time that I would see a normal woman, she's a normal person with her own dreams, insecurities, feelings, whatever, I didn't think about them that way when I was addicted to porn. Instead, I judged them. I judged them based off of how they look. I objectified them because of the content that I consumed. And it's not just about those two things. It's about self-worth and it's about identity as well. The shame loop keeps you really small. So the shame loop is this thing where we feel an uncomfortable emotion. Maybe one of them is shame, but usually it's stress, boredom, loneliness, etc. We watch porn. We feel bad for watching it. We feel shameful for watching it. And because we want to avoid those uncomfortable feelings, we then, again, watch porn. And this loop keeps going over and over and over again. And that's how addiction starts. This is one of the reasons why I don't like NoFap, is because NoFap shames you for trying, shames you for trying and failing over and over again. I tried and failed countless times when I first wanted to quit porn. The first couple of weeks when I wanted to quit, I relapsed every single day, multiple times a day. Quitting raised my self-respect. Over time, as you start to quit porn, over time, as you become the type of person who doesn't need it anymore, you start to gain your self-respect back. Fundamentally, a lot of guys, why do they watch porn? It's not just about escape. It's not just about fantasy. It's about love. In a weird, messed up way, it is about love, because we think that we might be fundamentally unlovable, right? Because of whatever it may be. We don't have big enough muscles, we don't have enough money, whatever it is, we're not good looking enough. What we do is we turn to the only outlet that can actually give us some form of love in a weird, mess up way, and that's porn. And that affects our identity and affects our self-worth as well. The thing that I want you to do, the action step that I want you to take from this video so that it can actually help you in some way, is to track your urges for the next 7-ish days. What emotions came up first? Right before the urge, how did you feel? What were you doing? Were you getting yelled at by your parents? Were you coming home after a long day of school and you didn't feel that good? You felt stressed, you felt bored. What was it? Because once you start to understand, hey, this is what happened before I relapsed, well, then you can work on preventing it as well. If you're serious about learning how to quit porn, but you've tried everything under the sun and none of it seems to work, I have a completely free guide that you can use in real time when you feel the urge. In real time, you can read this guide and it'll help you prevent your next relapse. It's completely free. It's the first link in the description down below. If you're interested, then you can go and you can click that. Take care, bro.